Secret Invasion, Episode 3, Title Betrayal. And this episode is like the last two episodes. Absolutely fantastic with wonderful writing. I mean, is it getting not completely tiresome or but just a little bit of maybe a slight of redundancy where they keep mentioning the blip, the blimp, the blimp. Like when, Fury, when you were swung, you were this, and then you got blip, and then you just left and leave us, and that type of thing. I'm like, okay, having roughly the same conversation happening again, but it's with a different person. In this case, his wife. I mean, it's a really good scene. It's really well written, really well acted, really well handled, and all those things. But I think because we're kind of getting multiple versions of a scene, like a version of this scene per week, it kind of just feels like I get it. He blimped, and there's something emotional told to him, like and. I mean, all I am going to say is like I'll wait till we finally find out why. Why did he just went on ship for what 2-3 years and him saying I lost faith. Well, clearly in my head thinking, well, fight the battles we never could. Well, the Avengers failed, and kind of sense a loss of humanity. That's my theory is my theory on Fury. But the rest of the episode is really strong. I mean, you have these big emotional scenes. You have this intense thriller aspect to the episode, to the show. There's it has to be said. Like, if you're the type of person who's like, you want your big explosions, you want your big action sequences, you want this, you want that, you want something like Falcon Winter Soldier, or Moon Knight was there's a big giant action sequence each episode, and something you go, oh my god, over. Yeah, clearly this is not that show. I mean, the big action sequence is a shootout that lasts like I don't know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds at least. It's not big, and the big sequences is of the intensity of the ambush that Fury and Talos is actually are doing because they realize that the Swole Revolution are planning to just do World War III by having Air Force One or a big giant government plane getting bombed by missiles, by submarine missiles, and it would start off a whole the start of the end of the human race as we know it kind of mindset. And even though the villain, like, he just feels very static, like, oh, I'm angry because you told us we were going to have this and it didn't happen. Ooh. I'm like, okay, like, okay, maybe he's that typical Marvel villain where it's like you're just there to move the plot forward. You're just there, like the scene between Ben Mendelsohn and I forgot the guy's name who's playing the werewolf leader. See, it's 3 episodes in, I don't know the character's name. Um, he is fantastic, and the emotional attributes that the episode has, and definitely when Ben Mendelsohn, anytime the mention of his daughter is getting mentioned in different ways and who's saying it, you could feel the performance from Mendelsohn where it's joy or heartache or vengeance or of the worship father who's like, I'm going to take my daughter no matter what. Like, you got all those aspects, and the scene, like, this show should be known as two people having a situation talking inside the Marvel universe, and it's good and it's great and it's fantastic. Like, the least interesting part is that the evolution itself, the bombing, it's just you just want to see these people talk. That's all it is. You just want to see their relationship evolves. Now with the ending, I will spoil the ending a little bit. Just pre-warn you guys in 3, 2, 1. So, the Werewolf kills. Rhea Clarkson's character. um, the he kills her off, so her character's gone halfway through the season, which in my head I'm thinking, wait, hold on a second, one shapeshifter, so someone could just take her body and as a female swole head, so you never know, maybe she's someone else and all that. Um, Taking on that body, so you never know. But the other thing is, I think there's like in the trailer like a couple other shots that we haven't seen in the actual show. So I don't think she's fully dead. Maybe it's the whole thing of, oh, I'm wounded, I kind of passed out, I kind of look dead, but actually I believe, or that you do the bulletproof vest thing. Um, it could be. It could easily be like, if you hit me and you punch me, I'm going to turn green. If you shoot me and stab me, I'm going to turn into a swole. I'm going to turn into my swole self. So, it's. I feel. But also the words of, this is a character that could go on further. Like, this is the character that you could play for 10 years type of thing. And I'm like, once again, we don't. You don't know. It might be the end of this character, this character, but I always say Emilia Clarke's Pretty Bride might actually work. It actually works. When it comes to any and Super Swolls. Super Swolls, clearly they're leading up to that point. I mean, I think clearly they're not going to do the comic book route, which is essentially Fantastic Four powers, where there was a whole thing when Captain Marvel came out, and everyone was like, well, hold on a second, Captain Marvel, you're doing the Swolls. Isn't Swolls owned by Fox? Like, how the Whites are go through this? And what you realize is like, oh, they owned both of them, Fox at the time and Marvel and Disney owned both the species, but not certain characters. So, and one of them was the Super Swole, who was a Fantastic Four villain. And he is literally a Swole who has all of the Fantastic Four powers. So, Switch, invisibility, and shooting fire, and has like a walk hand, and all those things. And, it's seen in the trailer that, you're seeing a arm getting weights, and clearly they're using group powers, all that. So, it'll be interesting to see what characters are they going to buy, because clearly they're not going to do the Fantastic Four out. Clearly, visibility is it's weird. The first time we see visibility in the MCU is actually from Secret Invasion, not Sue Storm. But wait, I'm trying to think. Is this the first time we ever seen visibility in the MCU in general? I think it is. Yeah. Which makes sense because I don't know. It'll be really interesting how this all ties together. It'll be interesting what's going to be different because group powers for the sweat for sweat for the Aunt Switch. It'll be interesting. Does accept flaming powers as muon blasters. Outside of invisibility, it's force fields. Have we seen a force field in the MCU? I don't think we have. Even that. Oh no, we have seen force fields. But Wanda, Wanda powers or something. And for strength, you just like, oh, someone just able to lift up a car. Like you can always do that. Well, versus like, one hand's invisible, a foot is a giant rock, one's on fire, one's all normal, but it's all flexibility, it's all whatever. So you can go that way as well. There's a lot of possibilities what you can do with the Super Swole and the superpowers. I just realized I've been talking for like 5 minutes about me figuring out how they're gonna do Super Swole, but we're out doing the Fantastic Four Lincoln. But so far I think, could this be the best Marvel MCU show? I mean, WandaVision has to be up there, right? It has to be a toss up between WandaVision. I think WandaVision really had the you want to see it, you when you saw so far halfway through, when you're seeing while watching WandaVision, you see, please stand by, and you're like, no, why are we seeing please stand by? So I think that is going to be a hiccup. I think so. Versus Secret Invasion, it does feel like this long story, and it feels like sometimes they have this cutting point. And I was kind of surprised knowing this episode is like 43 minutes. It took its time. It felt like a complete episode. It didn't felt like we're just cutting at a certain point. But there's no like, you want to come back, see you next week, or oh my god, it's just like, shit, that happened. I think what it is when you have a resolution, you just don't. Yeah, it's simply that when you have a resolution, and all it is, it's we need, okay, the revolution has these plans, and we need to stop these plans and just knock them every single chance we have. There's that, and it's just going to be leading up to a big crescendo version of it. It's going to be also interesting. How does Nick Fury fight a Super Swole? I mean, it's easy for him to fight a Swole, but how he fights a Super Swole, we will not know. Maybe that's when it turns to a big, massive, CGI fest. You know, but which I like my big giant CGI fests. But anyway, comment below what you think of episode 3, Betrayal.